A stick figure stares at a phone glowing in the dark. On the screen, one giant number, plus 145.7%. One study, 28 men, one magic number. And the entire internet built a religion on it. What actually happens to your body with no sex for a month? Millions of people are testing this right now. They've been promised a hidden superpower on day 7. More testosterone, more energy, more confidence, a new man. But hold that promise up to the light. Almost none of it survives. Look closer at where that number came from. One small study, a handful of men. Let's start where the myth was born. Scroll through any forum and you'll see the same claims. Glowing labels around a flexing stick figure. More. More drive, more focus, magnetic confidence, mood transformed. It all traces back to a single source. A 2003 study from a university in China. Researchers tracked testosterone in 28 men over a week. For days 2 through 5, the levels barely moved. Flat, boring, nothing to sell. Then on day 7, a spike. Testosterone briefly reached 145.7% of where it started. Roughly a 46% jump on one single day. That number became the seed of nearly every retention claim. A taboo topic and one irresistible statistic. Perfect fuel for a movement? But scientists went back and looked closer. And that's where the whole thing starts to crack. A red stamp slams down on the paper. The paper was later flagged and pulled. Retracted. In December 2021, the journal formally pulled the study. The reason wasn't fraud. It overlapped too heavily with an earlier publication. Duplicate work, no longer a citable result. The number everyone quotes comes from a retracted paper. But retraction is only the first problem. Look again at what the study actually claimed. 145.7% of baseline was a single-day blip. By the next week, the number was gone. Not a permanent new level, a one-day flicker. By day 8, testosterone slid back to normal. There was no ongoing climb, no stacking effect, no forever gains waiting at day 14 or 30. The famous spike was a spark, not a fire. And it went out almost immediately. Now picture a flat horizon line labeled baseline. A stick figure walks along it for a month. The line barely wiggles. That's the honest picture of your testosterone. Sex and abstinence appear to cause only short-term wobbles. Small ups, small downs, and back to normal. No proven long-term drop from having sex. No proven long-term boost from holding back. And here's the part that really matters. No one has convincingly replicated that day 7 spike. Not once in over 20 years. Independent reviews call the evidence limited and mixed. The honest science is far less exciting. So what actually sets your baseline testosterone? Not your last orgasm, something far more boring. Sleep, deep, consistent, enough of it. Your body fat, your training, your age, your genes. Those are the real dials. Abstinence isn't on the control panel at all. So the hormone story mostly collapses. But then a fair question appears. Why do some people swear they feel different? Part of it is real, part is expectation. Picture a split-screen stick figure. One head foggy and irritable, one calm and clear. Between them, a single word, individual. Because some research does hint at something. In one study on regular users cutting out adult content, the symptom people recalled most from past attempts was vivid dreams. Over half described those in their earlier tries. Around a quarter recalled feeling more irritable. Around a quarter recalled their attention slipping. Break a daily habit and your brain notices. But here's the crucial catch. When the same study ran a controlled week of abstinence, it found no reliable withdrawal effects at all. In other words, the dramatic symptoms didn't hold up. Any real effects look mild, personal, and inconsistent. Some people feel a little off. Many feel nothing. That's not a superpower. At most, it's a small adjustment. So where do the dramatic stories come from? The life-changing testimonials. The new man transformations. This is the twist the myth doesn't want you to see. Watch the label change. Cross out no sex. Write in a different habit. Quitting compulsive adult content. That's a completely different thing. Heavy use of that content has been linked to real changes. Some studies suggest it may dull the brain's reward response, though the direction and cause are still debated. The everyday world can start to feel a little flat. Dopamine recalibrates when a big trigger is gone. Step away, and that sensitivity may slowly recover. Colors come back. Ordinary things feel rewarding again. But notice what may actually drive that. Not saved up fluid, not hormones, a behavior change. People broke a screen habit and then credited abstinence for the reward. The change felt real. The explanation was likely wrong. It was never about the semen. It was about walking away from a compulsion. For some, that discipline genuinely helps. Now for a second twist. This one stings. Picture the stick figure smugly holding it all in, guarding his supposed reservoir of power. Then a fact drops behind him. A Harvard study followed around 32,000 men for years. It compared how often they ejaculated. The men at 21 or more times a month had roughly 20% lower prostate cancer risk than the men at only 4 to 7. But more is not the same as superpowers. Now, this is a correlation, not proof of cause. It doesn't show one thing directly causes the other, but it points the opposite way from the myth. If anything, more frequent release was linked to lower risk. Holding it in has no proven health prize. The reservoir of stored power? There's no evidence it exists. Watch the myth quietly deflate. So let's walk through a real month. 30 calendar squares, one stick figure. Day by day, the body stays basically the same. No secret meter filling up, no hidden charge building. Now look at what sex itself seems to do short term. A large recent study tracked people's real experiences. After sex, many reported better sleep. Lower stress, a calmer mood. There's a plausible chemistry to that calm. Afterward, oxytocin and prolactin tend to rise. And cortisol, a stress hormone, tends to fall. Less stress can sharpen focus a little. That may be why people often feel relaxed and sleepy. So what does abstaining really do? It simply removes that mild, pleasant reset. Not a curse, not a cheat code. Just the absence of a small, ordinary calm. Here's the honest verdict on your month. Your body does almost nothing dramatic. You might notice shifts in mood, focus, or patience. Individual, modest, mostly in your head. The story sells because it flatters you. Your testosterone doesn't meaningfully or permanently change. And that's the real answer, it's mundane. No superpower, no curse, no hidden gear. And that quiet truth is exactly the point. Now pull the camera back. The stick figure holding the glowing phone is you. Think about how this whole myth got built. A taboo subject few people study carefully. One flashy number from one retracted paper. A whole myth built on a single footnote. Real but tiny psychological effects. Mix them together and a religion forms. Because where careful science is thin, confident nonsense floods in to fill the space. This one wore a single statistic like a costume, and millions never checked the tag. So here's the mirror, before you scroll away. You just watched one retracted number unravel completely. How many other facts you live by? Are just one shaky study in a convincing costume? The number glowed brightly. It was still wrong. Next time a statistic promises to change your life, hold it up to the light first, and ask who's selling you the day 7.